Aspire. What does aspiring mean? When you aspire to something, you desire it, you want it, but you're not doing it. So someone who aspires about being an actor is someone who is sitting in their basement on their couch, lounging about, daydreaming, thinking, what a great dream it is to be an actor. Anybody who is out there actually kicking butt, actually doing their auditions, applying for auditions, submitting themselves, creating their own projects, doing their thing, even being a background actor is acting. If you're doing something, you're doing it, right? A builder builds. A carpenter does carpentry. A painter paints. A drawer draws. A cook cooks. It's as simple as that. If you act, you're an actor. You're not an aspiring actor. You're an aspiring actor if you're just aspiring to do it. Like if you're at home just thinking about it. If that's all you're doing, then you're an aspiring actor. But if you're a real actor, if you're doing things, then you're no longer just aspiring. And I know for actors, it's very hard to come to terms with that because most of our job is actually not on a set shooting, not actually acting. A lot of that is just gaining the life experience, thinking about our emotions, processing them, practicing, living life, giving us the necessary fuel to act better. That's what we're actually doing 90% of the time with our lives, right? That's not actually acting. Or we're doing the business side, we're submitting ourselves, we're doing auditions, we're connecting with people, we're trying to get representation, whatever it is, right? We're doing something with it. That is being an actor. The hardest part actually, probably starting out, is accepting that, is being able to call yourself that without shame. That shame is such a strong layer that you have to break out of. Before anybody else recognizes you as an actor, you have to first of all recognize yourself as an actor. When I first started out, I did not want to call myself that. Every time someone asked me what I was doing, I would kind of shy away and look away and be like, oh, well, I'm kind of doing this acting thing, or like, oh, I'm kind of trying acting out, or, I want to be an actor. I'd frame it as something wishy-washy like that because I was afraid. I was afraid of calling myself what I really was doing because I was afraid that I'd be called out or I wouldn't be seen as an actor. Whenever you say you're an actor, especially by the people closest to you, right? Whenever you would tell them you're an actor, they want to ask, oh, what have you been in? Where can I see you? They don't understand that 1 minute on screen is equivalent to perhaps 10 years of work. There's a Chinese proverb that says, 台上1分钟，台下10年功. I hope I said that right. It means 1 minute of stage presence, of being on stage, of performance, has 10 years of foundation behind it, training. And that's what it takes. They don't see the training, they don't see the sweat, they don't see you in acting class, they don't see you practicing crying alone in a room, they don't see you doing your own indie short, your project. They won't ever see any of that. Because to them, that's not the real deal, that's not acting. Acting to them is Hollywood, is glamour, is being an A-lister, being talked about, being on the tabloids. That is not acting. That has nothing to do with really being an actor. An actor is simply someone who acts, who gives themselves in service of the role, who gives a part of their soul to the project, to the character. They're living, they're breathing life into something, they're creating, they're creators, they're creatives. That's what we're doing, we're making things. That's what acting is. It has nothing to do with the fame, the money, the status. That's what everyone thinks we want, right? But you as an actor, that's not what drives you. If all you want is money, status, fame, prestige, whatever it is, attention, you're probably not going to get it in acting, really. Realistically speaking, most actors never find that. Success, so-called success, you probably need a degree of recognition and you need, maybe a degree of people knowing you and acknowledging your work. But beyond that, like real fame, real like celebrity status, whatever, like how many people really achieve it? And yet there are so many hardworking, amazingly talented, capable actors every day at their craft doing it. Why? Because they're not in it for that. They're in it because they love acting. I don't mean love as in love, like it's such a warm feeling. You love it. You know, you love something like there's nothing to hate about it. No, this love is extremely intense, complicated, messy. It can be really even toxic. You suffer for it. You know, you make a lot of sacrifice. Acting is not just about just loving it like you love, like, I don't know, you love a teddy bear or something. You know, you see something you like, oh, I love it. It's not that. It's literally suffering or making a lot of sacrifices for it. You sacrifice creature comforts, right? You sacrifice the opportunity of maybe being on a higher paying job or doing something more practical, sustainable, stable, you know, doing something stable with your life that will get you the guaranteed amount of societal status, recognition, money, whatever it is that other people, that you think you need from other people, right? You're sacrificing all of that. You're sacrificing your time, vacations, planning. Whenever people ask me, oh, what are you doing like in 2 months? Like, I'll be there. I'm gonna be in LA, will you be there? Or I have a wedding in 3 months, can you come? I'm like, boy, I don't know what I'm doing the next day. That's the uncertainty of it. Sometimes you go audition, the very next day, you're gonna be in freaking Atlanta. That's the nature of the business. I have no idea what I'm doing the next week, let alone you tell me, what am I gonna be doing in 3 months? Like, I don't know. You sacrifice a lot of that. You sacrifice time with your family. You sacrifice relationships. There's a lot, you know, that, but you do it because you have to. You do it because you need to, and that's a love. It's like a thirst. It's a life. And I always talk about Van Gogh, and Van Gogh is like my idol artistically because he lived for that. He gave us life. Like every time, every single painting he did, he carved out, he shaved off a part of his soul that he put into it. That's a part of his soul that you see in the work. That's his life. He needed that. He thirsted for it. And he got nothing. He got nothing. Did he call himself an aspiring painter? No. He didn't care. The world would probably wanted to call him, some derogatory label. The world probably wanted to call him, you're an aspiring painter. You're a struggling painter. You're a starving artist. But to him, none of those labels mattered. To him, it was not that. He is a painter. He's one of the greatest painters ever, period. And yet everybody would have called him merely an aspiring painter because he wasn't successful in the eyes of the world. And so what I want to say is, do it because you need to. Do it because there's a part of you that isn't complete if you don't do it. Because you feel like you have something to give, you have something to offer, you have something to create. There's a part of you that has life that you want to breathe into something. There's a part of you that is freed by the process of acting, by the process of creating. It's a part of you that electrifies you. It's when you feel alive. You feel that adrenaline rush. You feel that absolute ecstasy of being alive, or you feel that connection with someone. You're surprised in ways you never knew before. You found depths within you never ever thought you were capable of achieving. The tears came from nowhere. You never thought you could cry like that with someone. You never thought you could be vulnerable. You never thought you could open up yourself to the world. You never thought you could be seen in that way. You didn't think you could live someone else's life. You didn't think you could put yourself in the mind of another person, in the shoes of another person, and yet you did. And that felt great. It felt amazing. And that's why you do it. You don't do it because you're successful, you know? That's like the lamest term to me. I don't buy into it. I don't care about it. I don't care. That is irrelevant. And that's why I don't like the term aspiring actor. And I think you should cut it out of your vocabulary. You want to be an actor, you are an actor. You start by doing it. An actor is someone who acts. Artist is someone who makes art. A musician is someone who makes music. A creative is someone who creates. Do it. Just do it. Do it. Put yourself and do it. And there's no excuse now. Perhaps before to be a theatrical actor, a movie star, right? A movie actor, you would have to wait outside the gates. It was so tightly controlled. Not every just regular Joe could have access to a camera, to equipment, to create things. They just couldn't. They didn't have access to film. So to act on film, you had to be part of the studio system. Maybe in those days, you could only aspire to be an actor. You're dreaming. It's something lost in the stars. Maybe in those days, but now, now you can create, right? If you're not part of the big screen experience, if you're not part of that, maybe you don't want to be. Maybe you want to create your own art. Maybe you want to forge a new path. Cinema is an art, film is an art. It's been an art for over 100 years. And that's a very young art compared to sculpture, compared to painting, compared to music. You know, it's a young art, not to acting. Acting is as old as any of them. But cinema itself, the language of film, that's very new. So you want to work with that, there's still so much endless possibilities, an endless frontier that you should break through and innovate and create. Think of new ways to explore that, to go further, go deeper, go beyond where nobody has gone before. There's so much potential. There's so much potential. And the art of acting too, how does that evolve with the whole nature of cinema, with the nature of film? How does the nature of acting itself, the essence, how can you evolve that? There's so much, what I mean is there's so much to explore, and there's no constraints. There's no practical constraints in terms of, oh, I don't have access to this. Your phone can shoot. I don't have access to this. I don't have resources. I don't have connection. Live up to your excuses. Be stronger than your excuses. Be stronger than your excuses. Be stronger than yourself, but be stronger than what you think is possible. Be stronger than what you think you can do with yourself. You have the ability to be infinite. It's a world who keeps telling you you're limited. The world sees things in terms of limited, finite resources. You, the power within you, the power to create given to you by God or whatever higher spiritual being there is, by the universe, is infinite. Feel me. That energy, that power in the world, that universe to love, to give, to create, to open yourself, to have new experiences, to see things a new way, that potential is infinite. Feel it. Just like the universe is infinite, it's constantly expanding. And yet our lives are constantly being destructed in terms of entropy. It's constantly being destructed. One is constructive, one is creating, one is destructed. Your ego is constantly deconstructing around you. Constantly telling you no, constantly criticizing yourself, constantly comparing, thinking you don't have enough. That's constantly destructive, destroying you, shaving away at your own, chipping away at your own confidence, at your own feeling of possibility. You think you're too old, you think you can't change, you think you can't rise above your own limitations, but you can. You can. You're just as new today as when you were born however many years ago. I see actors everywhere in this town, everywhere, anywhere. In China, I saw an actress who was 92 years old, still acting. There are a lot of actors starting out when they're 30, when they're 40, when they're 50, 60, 70. Because they love it. They love it in the way that I described. Because it completes them, because they need it. Because it gives them that thrill of life. And that's what we do it for. It's like so much amount of suffering and pain and angst and uncertainty and hard work and just futile labor, not getting anything back, so you think. Not getting anything back in terms of actual concrete recognition or money or status or anything, right? But you're getting a lot back in other ways. And that's why also, so I said why I don't like the term aspiring, right? Because if you're aspiring, you're just living in a dream. You're not doing anything. That's what aspiring is. If you're doing it, then you are. Own it. Own that label. When you call yourself that, that's when the world can see you that way. When you accept yourself as something, that's when you can live in your own body. If you don't accept yourself as who you are, nobody can see the light, right? Or how do I say this? Not that nobody can see it, but if you don't even think you have it, if you're even afraid to touch the light within you, then how can you harness the power of it? How can that light drive you forward? Embrace that light within you. Please, please see yourself. See how beautiful you are. See how amazing, how infinite is your power to change. And same with struggling, the term struggling actor or struggling artist or anything. right? We're not struggling. No one is struggling. I don't like that term because it sounds so, woe is me, I'm a victim, I'm pitied. I'm not pitied. I don't want to be pitied. And I don't think I put myself there to be pitied. I chose that path. I chose that path. And it's hard. Maybe a suffering is better to me. A suffering artist or suffering actor is better than a struggling one, right? Because struggling makes it seem like it's out of my control, or like that I'm just like tossed in a river and I'm like drowning and I want to get out. I don't want to get out. I chose that. I chose to drown. I chose not to drown. I chose to swim in that river. And as hard as it is, I'm trying, and that delights me. That challenges me and it thrills me. And I love it. So I might suffer. Like I said, you sacrifice so much. There's a lot you sacrifice. There's just a lot of loneliness. There's so much darkness. There's a lot of times you want to break down. And you have no one to tell, you have no one to hold, to support you because they don't understand. They're like, well, why are you doing it? Like, why? Or, But you do it. Right? It's hard. But it's not like, how do I say that? It's not like you're struggling because it's not needing to prove it to anyone. It's not about proving it. Back to Van Gogh. Van Gogh, every month, it's not like he didn't have money. His brother would send him money every month for his basic supplies. Food, water, basic stuff. But he would spend all that money in the beginning of the month on paint and canvas. And by the middle of the month, he was starving. Every month, he would go into extreme fever and actual starvation because he couldn't have enough money. He didn't have enough money to buy bread. That's what he did. He spent every ounce of his life on his art. I aspire to be Van Gogh. I'm not him, and I can't be him. I'm not crazy enough. But I think to actually do something, to achieve what he achieved, you have to be a little bit crazy. You have to be crazy enough to rise above what everyone else considers essential and go for what is actually necessary for yourself. Wow, my battery died. What I want to say, oh, there's a crow out there. There's been a lot of birds visiting me recently, crows, and then I think a pigeon yesterday. I sat on my windowsill for the whole entire night, and I don't know what it means. It's very interesting. Why I wanted to talk about this is because I see so much potential in people. I see so much talent. I see so much potential. I don't want to say it's a waste. There's nothing that's a waste. But what makes me really sad is seeing them and seeing how they gave up on themselves. There are a lot of people who simply gave up on themselves. There's no better way to put it. They, at some point in their lives, due to perhaps failures or just external rejection, whatever it is, pressure, responsibilities, they decided it was too hard or that they couldn't actually do it. They weren't good enough. And that makes me really sad. Because not everyone, like I said, not everyone is crazy enough, and they shouldn't be. Because if everyone was that crazy, there wouldn't be society. There'd be no functioning parts, right, in this system. Everybody would be out there starving and using all their money on paints and canvas, right? We can't have everyone living like that. So I understand. But if you really want it, you don't have to give up on yourself. You don't. And even if it's in another fashion, like I said, not everyone has to decide to throw everything away, move to Hollywood or wherever it is. Not everyone can. Some people have responsibilities. I know it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be an artist. It's a privilege to actually pursue something like that. We're very, very lucky. And back to Van Gogh, so was he. He was very lucky. without having grown up in such a middle, upper class, affluent family, right? He grew up in a pretty affluent, well-educated family. Without those resources supporting him, without his brother supporting him financially, he couldn't have been an artist. So we live on the backs of many, many people, many generations of people. Other people sacrifices for us, and we're very, very lucky. So what can we do to give back? It's not just that we're selfish and we're using other people's labor and their nurturing so that we can do something selfish and we can do what we like. No. Some people are born to do that. They're born to create, they're born to give in this way. And look at what Van Gogh gave us. The world would be a darker place without him. That's his contribution. We need art. We need people who make music, to sing to watch them dance. We need those people to give us love, for us to feel, for us to express and channel our energies, our emotions, for us to live through them. We need that. We need that. It's necessary. I don't know what to say. I guess so for some people who I guess aren't as lucky in that way or have chosen to give up. I don't want you to be down on yourself. I don't want you to think you're less than, you're a failure. Because again, it's not in the eyes of other people. It's what you can give to people around you, to yourself, to the world. Don't block it off of yourself. Don't put down your instrument. Don't put down your paints just because you think you haven't realized that level that other people expect you to be, or you have expected, dreamed yourself of attaining. Just because you're not doing that doesn't mean you still can't create and make things. Now, I paint a lot. I still paint, but I don't do it to show people or to enter into galleries or whatever. I do it because it makes me happy, and also there's a need, or I want to. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. You do it because you have to, right? You do it because you want to. Okay. Let's end this on a happy note. I believe in you. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. And the first starts with your self-conception of who you are. Don't call yourself labels, because if you want, that's all you're ever going to be doing, wanting things, right? Nobody wants to call themselves a wanting architect, an aspiring lawyer, right? Don't call yourself that. Accept yourself, own up to it, eat it, eat the label, eat everything. You're gonna feel like an imposter, you're gonna feel ashamed. You'll have nothing to show, but slowly, that's how you get better. Van Gogh, his first paintings, he hated them. He looks back at them and he thinks it sucks, right? He thought they were grimy, ugly, dirty looking. And maybe they're flawed, but he needed to go through that process so he would get better. And so the beginning, just whatever people say to you, you know yourself. I look back at my first audition tapes, my acting, and at the time, I'm gonna say I was pretty full of it. I thought I was really good. I thought I was talented. But now I look back and I think it sucks. No offense to myself and to anybody else who was involved with those. But I look at my own acting or where I came from, and I just thought it's not good. It doesn't live up to my current standards or what now my understanding or my appreciation of the medium. I now know I can do better. But again, in 5 years to look back at what I'm doing now, I think I'll suck. I think I suck now. But it's fine, right? Because the only way you can get better is by going through these steps. But you have to make yourself. Have the courage to be stronger than yourself. Have this courage to do more than your excuses. Have the courage to discipline yourself, to say, I can. I wasn't going to talk about this today, and at the risk of having this go on too long. When I was a little kid, I had the worst stage fright, like the worst. My knees would shake, literally. My breathing would become it's like almost hyperventilating, sweating. I played violin, but I hated performing on stage. I hated doing auditions for youth orchestra. Those were the absolute worst nightmare to me. And I knew I would never make it in the best youth orchestra because I was so terrified. I played the wrong scale. They'd be like, what scale is it that you just played? And they asked me to play F major or something. I played G major. And I was like, it's so embarrassing. But I would shy away, and even on stage, I knew I could play it, but I would play like this because I was scared. I never raised my hand in class. I was always scared of drawing attention to myself. I hated it. I just never, I just never felt comfortable. But then in high school, I realized for me to do the things I want to do, for me to lead the things I want to lead, to make the changes I want to make in the world, I have to change myself. I have to. There's no way. I have to participate in class. I have to learn how to be a leader. I have to voice my opinions and have them. I force myself to. Literally, it's forcing yourself. In class, you're so uncomfortable. It's like the worst thing in the world, but I forced myself to raise my hand. And at first, it sucks. I honestly, nobody else cares. The honest truth is nobody else gives a damn but yourself. But you felt like the whole ground was caving in. Just raising your hand and having everybody look at you and saying something so stupid. You feel like, oh my God, that was so terrifying. But forcing them to do it one time, second time, third time, fourth time, after that, it doesn't get so hard. And then you raise your hand more and more. You raise your hand more and more. And before you know it, I became too outspoken in college. Then I had to learn to dial it back down because then I was being the obnoxious person talking too much. You grow like that. You go like this and you go overboard, and then you have to learn how to, you maybe learn that's maybe not such a great idea, or it's always like that, right? But you have to do it. Same with auditioning. It's the worst stage fright. Auditioning was such a terror to me. But for some reason, it's I guess it's the thrill of putting yourself in something so uncomfortable that maybe perversely excited me. Because I felt like I needed to challenge myself, I needed to grow. So what better way to grow than throwing yourself in the most terrifying environment ever? Auditioning, being naked in front of strangers, essentially, emotionally naked. I started auditioning, and each one sucked. I was so nervous. I was basically stuttering. I was sweating. I wasn't even looking at the camera. That was my first audition, was in high school. It was for a feature film. But you keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. And now I'm an actor. Who knew? Who knew? That's how you grow. It's literally seeing a tub of freezing water, knowing you have to plunge in, and that it will be the most uncomfortable thing in your life. But by doing it, you'll get stronger because you know you can. Because then you'll have the knowledge, I can, and it's not gonna kill me. I can endure it, I can tolerate it, and I'll be stronger. So seeing that water, most people would shrink away. I don't wanna be in it. Force yourself to go in it. Force yourself to plunge in it. And you'll come out with confidence. You know that won't faze you, you know that won't put you down. Rejection won't pull me down. That won't break me. You have to rise above it. Learn to control it, learn to rise above it. Welcome criticism. It sucks, it sucks. I'm so butthurt, I'm so sensitive sometimes. My own voice in my head is nagging enough. I know where I'm wrong. I always criticize myself. It's always there. But so what? So what? Okay, I talked too much today, as always. Goes this feeling a little passionate, and then I went on and on and on. Hopefully, some of it was motivational. I'm not the next Jay Shetty. I don't even have any, I don't know what I have to offer, but if that helps you, I hope. What I want to say is thank you for spending your time with me. I appreciate it, and I hope I can give you some positive energy maybe it doesn't sound positive. I think I'm pretty tough on people I care about, and it's tough love, but I just see that they can do better, you know, because I know they can, because they want something and they can't get it, and they're giving themselves excuses. But excuses don't make you get them. Doing it does. You want something, you see it, you get it, right? And there's gonna be a lot of setbacks, there's gonna be a lot of failures, there's gonna be like a lot of things are like going up a cliff and there's like a landslide going on, there's like rocks coming down at you. But you're going up the mountain. It's better than the guy who's aspiring, sitting on the couch, dreaming. That's the aspiring person. I don't think most of you are actually aspiring. Don't call yourselves that. Don't call yourselves struggling. Do it. Just do it. Do it, get better, learn, do it. I know you can. You know you can. Accept that first. Accept it, and that's when you can be. Accept it, and that's when you can be. Bye. Very last thing. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to do some really shitty work. I have to tell myself that because I'm the person, first of all, who spends a year working on a short film. Like a year nitpicking over like very minor things that probably most people won't pay attention to, but because I need it to be like perfect, or like I want it to be that, but it's not. And it's gonna be bad. There's gonna be a lot of bad stuff, you know, or like things you won't like in the future, but just do it anyway. Do it because the process of doing gets more doing, you know? It creates momentum. That's your inertia right there. Doing nothing, thinking about it will only produce inertia. Doing things, doing and doing, failing and sucking and doing, make more doing. Make more sucking, but wow, this sounds really wrong. But at the end of doing all of that, there will be some good stuff in there, you know? There'll be some good stuff and you'll get better. You'll get better. And the same with auditions. I learned to throw it away more. In the beginning, every audition is priceless. It's like the chance, the golden ticket to Oz. I remember I went to LA and there was like, first was Mulan, those Crazy Rich Asians, and I felt like all of these were like golden geese, like with like golden eggs flying away from me, and I was like, I wasn't ready, I didn't have agent, I didn't even get the audition. But I felt like, oh my God, that was like my one opportunity in a lifetime, and now I'm like, who cares? It's not about that one thing. It's not about any one thing, ever. It's about the journey, it's about the process, it's about every single day. What you do, every single one, every little thing that builds and builds and builds. It's not about that one thing that will give you the ticket to Oz. The one thing that's your gateway to fame. No, that doesn't happen. You see La La Land, that thing that she like rose to fame from one movie. No, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I mean, it could happen, but you don't even want that to happen. Why? Let me tell you why. If I had the chance, like going back, thinking about it, if I could play Mulan, just like for some reason they picked me, right? It's like the dream of any person, to walk on the streets and be picked for the star role, and then that's it, and then you've made it. If I were actually that, right now, I would be a horrible actor. I'd be a horrible actor. I think that's the worst thing I could say. I'd be horrible at the thing that I wanted to do. I would suck at my craft, right? That's the worst thing I can think of. Sure, I got the dose of fame, the notoriety, I got like my, you know, I got whatever I wanted, like the ego boost from that project or whatever. But I would suck at it. I would suck at what I'm doing because I would think that I made it. I would think that I'm enough. I mean, you are enough, but in terms of the art, you're never enough in the sense that you can always go further, right? I would have thought that I'm great already. I can do everything. It would have boosted my whatever. I'd be even more like narcissistic about it. I would think like, oh yeah, of course. But no, that's not the right attitude. So going back to everything, you're doing it for a reason. You're not getting things for a reason. That reason is to give yourself the fertilizer to grow and be better. One of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite things of all time. Fruits basket. Sure, it feels like shit, right? When things go wrong, sure, it feels like shit. but it's fertilizer to make you grow. And that's what the failures are there for, not getting things, the rejections, the bad things, right? That's what all the auditions are there for you to try and fail so that you can go get better. They're just like little experiences, right? Before you go to the big boss, you go through a lot of various little things to up your skills, right? It's necessary. You have to do it. So now, like when you look at auditions, now going back to this, you look at auditions, it's not about the one. They're just, you try hard at everyone. It's good. It's just like, it's fun. You're like having fun, enjoying yourself, creating something for each one. Some may be bad, some may be better than others, but really you're just trying. It's not about any particular one, so you learn to throw it away more, right? You learn to not take everything as seriously. And that's when you get into a really good attitude. That's when you get into the good zone, or just like doing things and not caring about the results necessarily. What I mean is like not the result of it's good or bad, but the result of whether or not you get it. So you don't care so much about whether or not you actually get the thing. That's the final result, right? It's not about that. It's about the work. If you're just doing the work, if you're just doing it, not caring so much about what you're getting from it, boom, baby, that's when you're in it. That's when you're in the groove, right? That's where we want to be. Okay.